This is the Real Good Procast with your hosts, Declan DeBarb, Ian Blumenthal, and Marshall Heath.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Real Good Procast. My name is Marshall Healy. Joining me, as always, are Ian Blumenthal,
What up, everybody? We're back.
Duck and DeBarp.
Welcome to the Western Conference edition, where none of us know what we're talking about.
And because of that, we have a special guest back on Season 2, Mike.
Hey, how are you? My name is Mike Gould. Follow me on Twitter.
Wait,
What's your
we
what's
have
your at name?
seasons?
What's your
it's
username?
at Mike Gould CU.
There we go. At Mike Gould C.
Do you know where that CU comes from? It stands for cunt.
Wow.
That is fucking aggressive.
Less than a minute in, and we're off and rolling.
I think that's the first time anyone's ever dropped the C word on this show.
I was gonna go with like cuck and be like PG-13, but no, we're going harder
How
today.
is cuck PG-13 and cunt is
Because you can say
What?
cuck because you can say cuck on Broadcast Network. You can't.
Yeah, you can
say-
also say the N word.
That's if you're Dave Chappelle and it's SNL.
Ah, that's fair.
My C word is the Chicago Blackhawks.
That's what you swear. You say Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes.
Is that
You're like,
because,
oh, Chicago Blackhawks. I got screwed in this test earlier.
Yes.
All right. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Thank you, Ian. It's a great start. A lot of things we're going to talk about today. Mostly a Western Conference preview. That's why Mike is on. He is our resident Western Conference expert.
Yes.
Expert.
Specifically with his darling Calgary Flames,
They're okay.
who can do no wrong.
That's not true.
They
Uh,
don't even have a guy signed.
but-
But we'll get to that. No.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good
Nice
preview.
little-
Thank
like-
you, Ian.
It's a
Thank
nice
you.
little
Ian,
tease.
It's
You're right. That's redemption. That's redemption. Good job. But first,
it's just a little foreshadowing for
Yes.
later in the episode.
we'll tease. But first, I want to talk about Marner and Point.
Bitchmar?
You mean
Mitch.
Mitch the Kid?
Wait. We talked about Mitch Marner last episode.
But I think there's going to be some comparisons, and I think Marner's going to be brought up when talking about Point.
do you know who wants to talk about that?
Who?
No one from Leafs Nation.
Mike,
And
do you want to
wanna
talk
know
about
why?
the Braden Point deal?
Braden Point's a pretty good player.
I wasn't talking about Braden Point.
I know.
I was talking about Mitch Marner.
Marshall, I think you're missing the point.
Ha 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 ha.
This is why Mike can't come on the podcast. Because that CU stands for cunt.
So
Guys,
Bra-
my mom listens to this podcast. Can we?
we'll bleep it. We'll bleep it.
And Ian is.
I don't care.
Ian doesn't-
But also sorry, Eleonora.
So Braden Point, what do we think of Braden Point? 3 years, $6.75 million.
Taking your job, eh?
yeah, I don't care. Less work for me to do.
Tampa Bay, good value on their RFA contract
So
as
good.
usual.
But also, they just don't have that much cap space.
Yep.
But they're the best team ever. Why wouldn't you want to play for them and still make $7 million a year, roughly?
Yeah, Tampa Bay is the most infuriating place on earth. Me and a friend of mine were talking about it, and he was like, "Points of contract is about to come in. How angry are you going to be?" And I was like, "At least a 10 out of 10."
At least a 10 out of 10.
And?
Possibly.
I
11.
wasn't disappointed. It was a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Now, Braden Point's new 3-year deal is the most expensive 3-year RFA deal in history, surpassing Marian Gabourik's 3-year RFA deal with the Minnesota Wild in 2006. But it is not quite the most expensive 3-year deal. Pavel Datsyuk had a 3-year deal worth $7.75 million in 2014. Historical context.
But that's not an RFA.
No, I didn't say it was.
And buying UFA years
Is more
does
expensive.
cost a lot more money.
It's Tampa Bay. This team is going to be very good for the next little while, and
Till
I think
April.
the Point contract also helps them. He'll fit right back in, and I think that people will be flocking to Tampa Bay when they do their fantasy drafts.
Well, if you look at Tampa Bay, like they have, I can't say a track record of winning. Yes, they won the cup. What was it?
2004.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, but that was Tortorella and St. Louis.
completely different era. But since then they went through a slump and then came right back up, and they are the cup favorite. Starting last year, they were the cup favorite. Starting this year, they're the cup favorite. If you're a player, what team do you want to play for? The cup
Probably
favorite.
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
And I know that Point's an RFA, so he's like, I can't really do anything about this. I might as well sign up. He's not making a lot of money. He's still making the most money, as you said,
Yeah.
the most money a 3-year deal has ever made. And I don't like comparisons because I don't think they're really fair when you think about a lot more context. There's a premium to playing in Toronto. You do get we have to pay our players more than places down south just because it's cold here, man. And yes, we're a big market, and yes, that's an attractive quality about us.
Yeah.
But you also have to deal with the big market, and a lot of players don't like that.
Yeah.
But I
So-
mean, if you're alluding to Mitch Marner, I think that he is right at home, literally and figuratively, in the big market.
Which is why his contract doesn't make sense.
We bought UFA years, and that's the big thing. I would prefer to have Mitch Marner for 6 years at 10.9 than to have Braden Point at 3 years for
It's 2
6.7.
UFA years.
2 UFA
Sorry,
years.
it's
indeed.
you're still buying 2 UFA years and extending. Not many teams can say that they have their top 9 locked up for the next 2 years.
For additional context, 3 years ago, the Calgary Flames signed Johnny Gaudreau to a 6-year RFA deal worth $6.75 million a season.
And Johnny Gaudreau's sick.
Percentage of cap. I know it's not the same as Marner, and that's what a lot of people thought it would come in at. But the Marner contract, and I'm not defending Kyle Dubas here because I think that he's proven that he's not a great negotiator, but I think that comes with age. He's a young GM; it'll come around. But I do think that there's not a lot to freak out about in Leafs Nation. We look to freak out about things, but it's all good. I know we're talking about Braden Point, but it always has to come back to the Leafs.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm not scared that it's going to be terrible for our organization. I'm mad because the comparables piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad because those contracts are better contracts than Mitch
Yeah.
Marner's contract.
Yes,
And that is
objectively.
objective. And
Yeah.
it just sucks that why?
Even
And
Leon
I'm not
Draisaitl.
saying it's like set the whole thing on fire, we give up. Like, we're still going to be sick and we're still going to win a lot of things. But I think that if we do win things and we do have a record like Tampa has, or we gain a reputation like Tampa or a Boston where you win things and you go places in the playoffs. If we made the second round, I think we could have paid him less.
I think this contract is going to be looked historically in a very interesting context. Because it really isn't linear when you look at the progression of RFA contracts. I mean, everybody
Which
was
contract are we talking about here?
the Marner contract, the $10.9 million. I mean, Gaudreau had less leverage on his contract because he was a 10.2 C free agent. But even looking at Leon Draisaitl, who makes $8.5 million, I just don't see any rationale for even just 2 years later Marner getting almost $2.5 million more than that. I mean, you're looking in the 90s. There was a guy named Chris Gratton who made $11 million in a season. I think we're going to look.
Pre-salary cap era.
I know, but even still, I think looking back at today, we're going to look at Mitch Marner's contract exactly like that. Because I think it's so out of line with the market.
I think it's out of line, but Mitch Marner is right at the beginning of his prime. He's 22, 21.
He had his
Yeah.
breakout season last year.
He had his breakout season last
Yeah.
year, and I expect him to put close to 100 points up once again. I wouldn't be surprised if he went
If he
over.
doesn't put 94 plus points,
then
like
it's
if he doesn't
bad.
equal what he did last year, bad contract.
But if you're
Yes,
looking
but
at
that's
But
not
not
my
in the
concern.
I'm not saying a bad contract for the entire length of it, but I'm saying overpayment right now, and
yeah.
how does he have that much leverage?
But who would you rather overpay? Would you rather overpay Mitch Marner or a guy like Nikita Zaitsev or any
Exactly.
depth player?
That's the
Yeah,
argument.
yeah, and I think the peace of
And-
mind that comes with that is very valuable too.
You can find those third and fourth line players for cheap contracts and plug them in your lineup. That's not a huge problem for
And Kyle Dubas has proved that he can do that time and time again. So
that
that
is
is
just like young prospects.
that's
that
why
you don't pay.
that's why I'm not concerned.
All right, I think we should move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But overall, I think that we believe that Braden Point contract is an absolute steal. It wandered into Marner territory.
Fuck that guy.
I always just let you guys rant. I literally, whenever we get back to Leafs, I just sit back and I see how long it goes naturally. And this time it was about 4 minutes.
It's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Now,
proud of
Mi-
That's
now
not bad.
no, well, to be fair, Mike stepped in. So
Yeah, you're right.
It
I was
wasn't
really...
really-
done though. I was out of yelling about this because I don't care enough about this going anywhere.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
want the season to start so we can stop talking about
I
it.
love regular season action.
Yeah, it's so much fun, especially in October. That's such fun hockey when
It's-
everything's just
everyone's
getting going.
Yeah,
Everybody's
and everyone's
optimistic.
rusty, so everyone scores a lot.
Yeah, you got a lot of 6-5 games. Yuri Sekach becomes a star. It's so much fun.
The Leafs win their first 2 games 13-2
Oh.
combined.
No, 13 to 8. We're gonna let in goals.
You want to know a fun piece of trivia? The Calgary Flames this year are going to try to avoid their 10th consecutive season opening loss. They have not won a season opener since 2009.
Who do they play?
Colorado.
Where?
That's not a
In
good
Colorado.
Make it 11.
Well,
Yeah.
How many of those were home and how many of those were away? Do
I don't
you
know. No, it's like half and half probably. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter
Yeah.
home and away,
They,
but
they're bad in October. Last year was the exception.
slow starts.
Yeah.
well, speaking of Colorado, let's get on with the Western Conference preview. Colorado's division, the Central Division. Going to start off with Chicago, a team that I guess no one really had much expectations for, but it's always disappointing to see Kane and Taves do as poorly as they did as a team. Individually, they had not awful years. 84 points, 6th division, no playoffs. But got a number of additions, notably in net with Robin Leonard. Are you surprised that, is someone surprised that Chicago was able to get Robin Leonard? I know last week we talked about the Islanders and we were perplexed at Lou Lamoriello letting him go. So I guess this is a good addition. We all agree with Leonard.
I think so, yeah.
I like the addition, and given that he did not have the full workload of a starting goaltender last year, and he probably
Corey
Crawford's
Crawford
still
is
out.
still the back.
No, they still got Corey Crawford.
He's the backup.
He's a
Yeah.
backup, so he can he can
He's a
take
backup
more.
that can fill in.
Yeah, he's like a fringe starter. I would
Yeah,
say.
1A,
Yeah.
1B.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's not like a.
It's not a Robin Leonard and
Cam Ward.
and
There was their
Thomas
guy.
Gray
Oh, sure.
situation
Yeah, yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be primarily Robin Leonard.
Yeah.
But Crawford's gonna spill in there for 20+ games.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's what I'm thinking. 20 games.
I think. Yeah, I think.
So I think it's a good addition for them, but I don't think that's enough to make them make the playoffs.
I think it's probably Corey Crawford's last year too, because he's 35, I think, and he's had a lot of concussion issues. So I think this is just sort of them giving Robin Leonard a trial because they're both on 1 years left with their contracts, and so
They need Scott Foster back.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think that this is sort of a last hurrah for the Chicago Blackhawks. I think they'll make a push to get into the playoffs,
I like
and they'll
it.
try, but I just can't see them
I
making
also
it.
like the Alex Nylander pickup or addition
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they got. And Calvin Hahn's not bad.
I love Calvin DeHaan.
he's all right.
Brother plays for the Carleton Ravens.
Evan
fun
DeHaan,
fact.
number 12, I think. Yeah, very good defenseman.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite fact to
Fact?
throw out.
You're like,
on
oh,
the
Calvin
broadcast.
DeHaan, Chicago Blackhawks player now.
Yeah.
Where did he play before?
Carolina, New York.
New York, yeah, the Islanders. Yeah, Calvin Hahn, because he really didn't want to be traded from Carolina, apparently, and then they dealt him after the first year of his 4-year deal, and then
they're fun.
then they signed Jake Gardner to the exact same contract, but that's for
better than Calvin DeHaan.
exactly.
And better
but,
than Justin Falk.
yeah. Chicago's
Some
really,
breaking news in the NHL
But
today.
Justin
Yeah.
Falk's a right-handed shot.
yeah. I mean, Chicago's a really weird team because they got a lot of money tied up in that defense, and it's really not very good. But
Oh, because it
Well-
was
Yeah.
good.
But
When
it's
they
not
signed those
anymore.
contracts, it was good.
yeah, but even then, I mean, even the depth guys who they've added since they've won cups, they aren't great. Like,
No.
honestly, Calvin DeHaan is okay. He's fine. He's not great, but he's fine. And Oli Mata is really slow, and he has a really big contract. Connor Murphy is like a bottom pairing defenseman who makes $4 million. It's like they got some really interesting deals back there, and their defense makes $28 million, which is kind of absurd.
Yeah, I don't think Chicago's really on the upswing, but they did win 3 cups with the group that they have, the core group that they have right now. So I'm
Yeah.
not taking anything away from what they had.
Yeah.
They're just in the downward spiral. They will bounce back eventually.
Yeah.
Management showed that they did it once. They'll do it again.
Yeah, and I think Patrick Kane's really underrated. Like, he had 110 points last year. Are you serious? And
This
nobody
guy.
ever mentions that.
This guy, I totally agree with Mike.
Yeah.
Declan always looks at me and goes, Patrick Kane's overrated. Dude, I picked this guy in fantasy last year. Declan was like, bad pick. Boom, won the league by like 700
Well,
points.
yeah, and he just never gets the it's weird. Like, it's weird to think that Patrick Kane would be a guy who'd be underrated. Jonathan Taves is kind of the same. He had 80 points last year.
It's kind of like they're their own Melkins, but yet
Yeah.
they're on the same team.
Yeah, because
which is-
nobody really thinks of Chicago because they're kind of that team that everybody just sort of is like, well, they had their time, but they still have some interestingly good players.
I mean,
No,
t-
yeah,
well,
like, they
and
still have good players.
Taves,
Yeah.
Kane, and Duncan Keith are all tied up for the
Yeah.
next 4
Don't
years.
forget
Keith are
Seabrook.
so
Don't forget
Seabrook-
and
And
Seabrook,
Seabrook 1 year more. That's
Yeah,
why I
but-
didn't say.
and that
Well,
Brent's-
not Keithers doesn't suck, but he's just not worth his contract.
Brent
anymore.
Seabrook has the worst contract in the National
Oh,
Hockey League, and it's
I'm
not even close.
Keith, but also
Brent-
Seabrook.
Seabrook is the worst.
Seabrook's
It's-
is worse.
So bad.
Seabrook or Milan Lucic.
I was
you know,
about to
the toss-
say
the toss-up
Milan
is
Lucic.
there.
We'll get to
Nikita
Lucic
Zaitsev?
later.
Yeah,
we'll get
we'll
to
get to
Lucic
him.
later. So,
We'll get
what
to him.
are our expectations for Chicago?
They're
Will
gonna
they
miss the
have
playoffs.
will they have more or less points?
Fewer. They're gonna have 80 points.
Not more or less, more or fewer.
No, more or less is right. I just like
No, less is not
Doesn't
how you
matter.
use that. You have to use fewer. It's
Are
different.
we gonna have a grammatical argument?
Okay,
Is
No.
that what this
I don't wanna-
podcast is gonna be?
I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure you have to use fewer in that.
I think they'll be
Okay,
in and about the same as they did last year, but won't be making the playoffs.
Yeah,
That's a cop-out answer.
I have Chicago finishing in the 6th spot once more, but they're not going to have the same team below them, and we'll get to that later.
And Ian's Googling grammatical stuff. So while you do that, can you answer the question?
No, I think they're gonna have less points. They're
Less
not
points.
gonna do as well as.
Yeah.
It's not that they didn't. It's not that they had a good season last year, but I don't think Kane's gonna do what he did last season. I don't
Yeah.
know if Taves can.
I see less, but not by much. Like no less than 80 points.
So you're giving me
I'm-
shit for using a cop out answer,
Yeah.
then use the same cop out
I'm giving
answer.
them a window of 4 points.
I agree with you. It's going to be the same. They're going to lose about. They're going to win or lose about as many games.
Okay,
Ian
I was right
has an
about the
answer here.
grammatical thing.
Suck
by
my
the way.
dick, Ian.
Fewer is only used when discussing countable things, while less is used for singular mass nouns.
Good.
For example, fewer ingredients, dollars, people, or puppies. Less salt, money, honesty, or love.
All right.
I didn't hear points in that, but we'll move on.
Yeah. Good luck to former Senator Zach Smith in Chicago.
Point is not a noun. A point is not a thing.
Okay.
Braden Point is a great contract.
Oh, yeah, okay. Colorado Avalanche. What do we think of the Colorado Avalanche?
What do we think of the Colorado Avalanche, Declan?
They're going to be a fantastic team this year.
They're going to be okay.
They swept, or effectively
five games.
swept your Calgary Flames
It was
in
the
what,
mercy sweep.
and had
They gave
one of
one game.
and had one of the most dominant playoff performances. We'll see when Mikko Rantanen comes back. I think that is very interesting. The number that he'll sign for. I'm hoping it's closer to Marner than it is to Braden Point,
Why?
so I don't lose my mind and jump off Dutton Tower.
But it
But-
won't.
They have so much star power on that team, and I think adding guys like Nazem Kadri and Jonas
Jonas Donskoy.
Donskoy, who they picked up from the Sharks, is a great addition for them.
Yeah.
Kind of pulling me there.
I think that they will replace the Winnipeg Jets in the second spot. In
Yeah,
this
it's
division.
possible. I think the Nazem Kadri trade is really good. I mean, he's obviously a step up from Alex Kerfoot. Losing Tyson Barrie is going to be tricky, but I don't think they were going to keep him anyway with that contract that was coming up. I think the big thing that for me that I don't think enough people mention about Colorado is their goaltending, because Philip Grubauer was pretty good last year, but they lost Semyon Varlamov to the Islanders. And they got Pavel Francouz, who's their backup, who's never played an NHL game.
Literally never heard of that guy.
He
So
sucks in Chell.
I think if
Therefore, worst player in the league.
Yeah, like in Chell,
Yeah.
his overall's like a 60 something.
like it would be so that doesn't exactly inspire confidence for me. And the Avalanche, I mean, yeah, they lost Tyson Barrie, so their defense is a little bit suspect, but they got Cale Makar coming in, and they got Bowen Byram, who they just drafted 4th overall. So
And they
you
also
never
got
know.
Callie Rosen,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
not nothing.
Yeah.
With that Kadri trade,
Just gotta
Callie
make-
Rosen was also a.
He was
decent
probably going
addition.
to make the Leafs this year if I had to put some money on it. So it's a good pickup for Colorado. I definitely agree.
I respect their efforts to add forward depth because they had not a lot of it last year, and it was basically just Nathan
It was the
McKinnon.
one line.
Yeah, and Nathan McKinnon is like, honestly, he doesn't get enough respect. He's one of the very best forwards in the National Hockey League. Honestly, I think he's very close to Connor McDavid, but
Offensive ability, I'd put him pretty close to Connor McDavid.
and
He's
be-
so fast.
Well, he's also better defensively than Connor McDavid. But anyway,
I don't know. He just plays with better
Yes.
line mates, which
Yeah, no,
helps
he
a
does.
lot in
Yeah,
the
no.
defensive zone.
but I also like them adding Burakovsky and Donskoy and even Valeri Nichushkin, which should be interesting to watch because I didn't think he would get another contract, but he did. So because he had no goals last year, absolutely none. So
better standings, but will they get past the second round?
maybe I think they're on a very Winnipeg Jets like trajectory right now, like from a couple of years ago.
Well,
Like going skyrocket.
Yeah, I think so. Like they look good, but they
Man,
have
the only question is in net.
is literally in net, and that was the same with the Jets. It was
With
is
Hellebuck.
Connor Hellebuck any good? Now is Philip Grubauer actually going to repeat because he's 27, but
Yeah, and he was on that cup-winning Caps team, wasn't he? The backup.
yeah,
Yep.
he was. Yeah,
He took him to the playoffs.
Yeah,
I remember
he
Holtby
took him-
struggled.
No, and he took him through 2 rounds or whatever, and then
No.
Holtby
No,
came
he
back.
played
Took
the
him
first
through
2 games
against
Columbus.
Columbus, and
Columbus,
he
thank
lost
you.
them both.
Lost
2
them
rounds,
both.
2 games.
Holtby comes in, wins the rest.
Yeah, basically.
Which is like respect. They both earned a ring there.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
suppose.
All right. Next up on the list is Dallas, who finished 4th in the division, made the playoffs. lost to St. Louis, the eventual Cup winners, so not the biggest shame in that. But they had a couple interesting additions: Pavelski, Perry, Hartman. Do you see them repeating into the playoffs and getting better, or is this going to be a?
I think they're pretty stagnant. I think
Yeah.
they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll probably be either third seed or a wild card.
They feel like a mid 2000s New Jersey team. It's
Yeah.
just, they're just kind of there.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, like
making up
they're
the
there in the
numbers.
playoffs, and it's kind of like what Minnesota was
It's
for a
literally
while.
If you wear green, you're boring.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
green,
So
irrelevant
boring.
green central team.
Whenever I
Yeah.
name teams in the league, I always
Always
forget
forget,
Minnesota
yeah.
and Dallas. Those are
Yeah.
the two teams I never remember.
Dallas has got some really interesting players. Like Tyler Sagan and Jamie Venn feel like superstars who have done absolutely nothing for the last few years, and it's like because they got called out by their CEO last year, which was really funny.
And then they still dropped like 80+ points.
Yeah, well, no, Jamie Benn had like 50 points last year.
No, yeah, no,
yeah,
sorry.
but Sagan's still pretty good.
Sagan dropped 84,
Yeah,
but Jamie Benn did not have a good year.
yeah,
But
But he was injured for a bit, wasn't he?
and it was supplemented by a good year on the back end from Heiskanen.
yeah.
Sorry, Klimberg.
And
And
Klingberg and
Heiskanen,
Heiskanen,
both of them.
yeah, they're both very good. And Corey Perry, I think, is really interesting.
That's
'cause,
an
like,
interesting
He's
contract.
34 and he's on a 1-year deal.
And a guy that's riddled with injuries.
yeah, he had 10 points last year, but it's worked out.
Yeah, I was
for
gonna say,
guys like that before.
and a 1-year deal. It's not
Yeah.
like it's the
it's
end
not a
of the world.
risky
Yeah.
deal. It wasn't a lot of money. It was 1.5 or something.
Yeah, and they added Andre Sekera on the exact same deal.
And
for
they
their
got
defense.
Pavelski.
And Pavelski's a huge move because he's like still pretty good, but $7 million. It reminds me of the Patrick Marleau contract. A, because he's
Who's
a
getting
former
old.
Sharks
Yeah.
captain, but B, because he signed the deal at 35 and he has that third year on his deal, which is like really iffy.
Man, but he's signing at 35. That's still not as much as it took Marlowe. Marlowe
Yeah.
went to 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but but the question is Joe Pavelski does Joe Pavelski have the longevity that Patrick Marleau
He's
does?
pretty
Well,
sick in the
Pavelski,
playoffs.
Marlowe had the longevity until he didn't.
Exactly.
It's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So I think I think Joe Pavelski could do it. 38 isn't that old.
And I think we should also mention their troubles in net because
Troubles.
it's
Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop could be
Ben
good.
Bishop
He's
could be
either
good, but he
Vezina
also
Yeah.
could be bad.
Yeah, Ben
or
Bishop.
doesn't know how to stop a beach ball.
Yeah, he's up and down. That's for sure with Ben Bishop. But Dallas has got like a billion forwards who I'm really interested in. Like Rope Hintz is really good, like really good. In the playoffs, he was amazing.
Yep.
And they got Denny Gurianov, who they picked in the first round like a few years ago, who actually looked okay for a bit. So I actually really like their forward depth, and they're one of my sneaky picks.
Sneaky picks.
Sneaky picks.
So-
Sneaky
Sne-
picks.
Are
to
they
a-
a wild
Where,
card?
yeah, where do you have the sneaky pick finishing?
I have the Dallas Stars winning the Central Division.
That's aggressive.
Whoa, man! Like they did give some good additions. If the
think-
Corey Perry thing can work out, if he drops like 25 points
Yeah.
this year,
25 goals, you mean?
points,
Points?
man, 25 points,
That is not that many
not-
points.
fourth line grind.
I
Joe
suppose.
Pavelski will not be on the fourth line, my friend.
I
Or are
said
we talking Corey
Corey
Perry?
Perry.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
autistic.
Man,
Yeah.
no shit. Joe Pavelski came out with 25 points. What?
Yeah, but like
What?
they got Alex Radulov too, who's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
still really good.
His Instagram is hype.
They got
fun
Matthias Janmark, who's a pretty good player. And they
Wait,
got
can
He's
we
just
hear
flexing on
Marshall
Marshall
say
right
that?
there.
Can we just listen to Marshall say it? Repeat.
Matthias Janmark.
Okay, Marshall, go.
T.S. Yenmark.
Yeah, okay.
All right, not
If I
bad.
hear someone say it, I'm not illiterate. Like
Mike's
I
just-
Vasilevsky.
They got-
Vasilevsky.
Oh, you already did it wrong.
And they got Blake Como, Flames legend Blake Como, who was
You didn't have
absolutely
that second
atrocious in
D.
Calgary. Okay,
So while
Yeah.
Declan continues to laugh, Minnesota. Speaking of
Oh,
irrelevant,
the other, yeah.
and
So
green,
irrelevant.
Minnesota's making the playoffs. Don't at
Man,
me.
I don't really want to talk about them a lot, but like they're not making the playoffs.
Okay, so we'll let Mike do this. Why are they
I
making
just,
the playoffs?
I just think it'd be so funny. And also, I have reasons. Because Minnesota is like a very veteran team, and they got a lot of players who I think have a lot to prove. I think Zach Parise is still a very good player. I mean, Minnesota's got a bunch of players who I think had bad years last year, who had like cut off by injury. They were without Matt Dumba for half the year. They were without Mikko Koivu for half the year. They're both healthy. They got a pretty good 1-2 punch up the middle with Eric Stahl and Mikko Koivu. They got four good top six wingers with Parise, Zuccarello, Zucker, and Kevin Fiala. I just like it. I just like what I see, and the defense is good, and Devin Dubnyk is still really good. And they got Bruce Boudreau as their coach. And I think they're going to make the playoffs.
You think
that's a
having-
cool opinion. but no.
Victor Rask is going to be motivated after
Victor Rask
his
is
awful
not good at
season.
hockey.
He had 3 30-point
Kevin
seasons.
Fiala is significantly worse than Michael Granlund.
Yeah, but they traded. Yeah, whatever. But
They're not making the playoffs this year.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Mike, you boasted about when you got here today about your stat subscription. Can you back these up with some stats?
Yeah, where's
can.
your advanced analytics
So
saying?
Jason Zucker is like
This is gonna add so much time to the podcast.
Jason Zucker Jason Zucker is one of the most effective offensive wingers in the Central Division. He's got so much.
Okay, I just want to say in the Central Division.
Yeah, well, that's what
Central
we're talking
Division
about.
is quite good.
Yeah, but like
It's also quite
Not
good 'cause
the
Pacific
league.
is also awful.
Yeah.
Like they're awful.
Victor Rask last season was like not bad defensively for the Minnesota Wild. He was like,
dude, I'd rather have a fucking tampon on my team.
I'd rather have a Nino Niederreiter on my
I
team.
don't
Yeah.
have Bobby Ryan.
look, hey, you know what? I'm not
And I
saying
do.
Paul Fenton's wild ride as Minnesota Wild GM was just so much fun to watch, and I really hope it pans out because I want him to be the GM of another team. Because I thought
So it's the Peter Chiarelli logic. then.
oh god, it was so much fun to watch. But I think if Devin Dubnyk carries, and if the defense,
Dude, if any goalie carries, they're gonna make the fucking playoffs.
yeah, exactly. And
But
I think,
that is not gonna happen.
but like they got 4 really good defensemen. They got Ryan Suter, Matt Dumba, Jared Spurgeon, and
Matt
Jonas
Dumba's
Brodin.
overrated.
No, he's not.
I think Matt Dumba's very
Matt
good.
Dumba was
Nashville
like,
have had really good defensemen for the last decade.
and they made the playoffs almost all those years.
And have
but
done
where have
nothing with
where
it.
has that gone with them?
Stanley Cup final.
They
Okay.
still lost.
So what?
And what did they have along with that defensive core?
Nothing up front and Pecorine.
So you think Dubnyk is going to be Pecorine?
you
Maybe.
think Dubnyk's better than Pecorine?
No, I don't think that. That's a very.
And you think that Minnesota's defense is better than Nashville's?
I did not say
That's
that.
what you're saying right now.
I said that.
All I'm
Yeah,
saying,
I know,
hey,
I'm just
hey.
like,
Did you just say that Minnesota's the best team in the NHL?
Yes, I said
Hot
that.
takes with Mike Gould.
No, but like, I'm not
the
saying.
most recent podcast
I'm not
coming
saying
on the Bar
Minnesota's
Podcast
the new
Network.
Nashville. My argument with Nashville is that they made the Cup final, and all I'm arguing is that Minnesota's going to make the playoffs.
Man, I think
They
Minnesota's
finished
gonna.
first in the division.
I didn't say that. I
No,
said
he said that
Dallas.
Dallas.
No,
Okay.
okay.
I
You're
think-
putting words in Mike's mouth.
Look,
now.
I'm very confused about irrelevant and green teams, and we spent way too
'Cause-
much time on both of them. We need to move on.
I
Okay,
just
fine.
think that I just want to have my last 2 cents here. I think Minnesota's gonna Minnesota this year. They're gonna squeak into the playoffs and get kicked out in the first round.
Exactly. Matt Zuccarello, though, he's going to carry him. Such a good player.
Okay, so do you know that St. Louis won the Cup last year?
What
That's
about
true.
What about Nashville?
Oh, did I miss
Nobody
a team?
cares.
Oh, oops.
Literally
Well,
nobody
let's go
cares.
St. Louis
with
I mean,
first
Nashville.
because I already said it. So St. Louis, they won the Cup last
you the
year.
host?
No, we're going to Nashville.
No, Mike is.
I think Nashville Predators are going to miss the playoffs this season.
Not a chance in the goddamn world.
It's possible.
Okay,
Mike,
why?
you can't just claim these things. You have to explain.
Because I think the Nashville Predators have a forward core that is like that just doesn't work. I just think their forwards don't work, and I think Pecorino is going to fall apart this season.
So adding Duchesne made their forwards worse.
Okay, so they added Duchesne. But the rest of their forwards are already so unremarkable. And they showed in the
Ryan
playoffs.
Johansson.
Not very good. He's like a fine center. He's like a number 2, okay center. Kyle Turris
He's
is
a number one center on a lot of teams in the league, but like okay.
on a lot of teams.
On a lot of
I don't
teams
think
in
he's
the
a
league.
number 1 center on like any teams in the league.
Ottawa.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Patterson is center.
Are we just gonna play name the number 1 centers on
No,
each
he's
team?
Domi's better.
No way.
Than
No.
Johansson.
No.
No,
way.
we're not.
Yeah,
We're, okay.
Anyway, we're not
Yeah,
doing
can
this.
we not? Okay, let's just move on. So St. Louis. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
No.
where is Nashville going to finish?
I think they're gonna finish 5th.
Whoa.
I
I think they're second in the division.
they're gonna win the Central this year.
Third in the division.
I just trust their defensive core too much, and I think Pecorino can put it together. Or what's their backup goalie's name?
UC
UC Saros,
Saros.
who
Saros was
also
good.
looks quite good. Will be able to save him. I think defensively they're strong enough.
I just think everybody on that team's gonna have an off year.
Okay, right now, okay, I just want to say my friend back in Toronto, I hope he's listening, Brandon. We were talking about the Leafs, and it was after their rookie season and how sick they were. Matthews dropped 40, everything. And he looked at me in my face, and he went, they're all going to have a sophomore slump. They're not going to make the playoffs next year. And I went, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the Predators don't even have anybody who's even close to even. I would say the Leafs third best forward, maybe even their fourth
Yeah,
best
but at
forward.
that time, the Leafs also had, after Morgan Riley, no
No,
defense
but I'm
Yeah,
saying
but-
right, like
and no consistent goalies.
there's a lot of teams in the league that couldn't
You take
say,
that back right fucking now. You take that back right fucking now.
Who is their consistent goalie
the
then?
Predators don't have
Frederick motherfucking Anderson.
the Predators don't have a number 4
He's a
defenseman.
top 5 goalie in this league, man.
The Leafs are one of the rare teams that have 4 players that could all be number 1 players on a lot of teams in the league.
Exactly.
It's like one of the only teams in the league that has it though.
Yeah, but and
Like
the,
you're comparing to like a crazy standard.
I suppose. Yeah, but you brought up the Leafs.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, yes,
I,
you
I brought up the Leafs with the sophomore slump thing,
Yeah.
and you're saying that your premise on this is they're all gonna slump.
Well, I don't mean they're all gonna slump. I just don't think they have the firepower to be a consistently great
Yeah,
team.
but they've never had the firepower to do that. And like now they added Matt Duchene, who is
Yeah,
a little bit more firepower.
he's a little bit
they
more
did
firepower.
lose PK Subban.
They
which
lost
is a
PK
lot of
Subban, which is a
transition on the
big
back
deal.
end. I see that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that affects their defensive core enough for it to really matter. Like they're so good on the back end. Even losing, like even their top 4, losing that 4th guy isn't that big of a deal.
I mean, just playing devil's advocate here, Nashville has struggled forever on the power play. They add
and they
Matt.
still make the playoffs though.
Yeah, no, I know, but they add Matt Duchene, but they haven't done anything to really address their power play issues.
I
They
think
tried to add Wayne Simmons last year,
And
Yeah,
that
it
didn't work.
I mean,
I know.
I do really like Victor Arvidsson. I would say he's probably their best forward.
Better than Duchene.
Yeah. He scores at an elite rate. His goals per 60 is off the charts.
Man,
But-
so many stats.
No, but I'm serious.
Stats bay.
Victor Arvidsson is probably their best player. But after that, I see a lot of guys who are like maybe fringe. A couple of guys who are like fringe first line forwards, and then their depth is like kind of weak. Like I think Nick Bonino's not that good. I think Craig Smith's not that good. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't
He'll
matter.
just flex the cup ring like Pat Maroon did.
Yeah.
And as Pat Maroon is on the St. Louis Blues.
No, he's not. He's on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Or was
Can
on
you
the St.
intro
Louis Blues, who won the
Arizona
cup.
for me? When we get to Arizona, you can intro him for me, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so St. Louis, you want to talk about them?
Yeah, okay. They're going to be sick this year. Like, I love St. Louis. And today, added Justin Falk.
Counterpoint, no.
What? Oh, they're not going to be good?
No.
Will
You think
they
Jordan Binnington-
be a
it's
top
lot
3 divisional
dependent
team?
on Binnington.
I think the St. Louis Blues are going to be really good this year.
I think they're going to finish at worst second in the division.
Yeah, they'll be up there. They'll
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Man, they could
man,
low-key win the division.
They could, or they could come last. Like the Central Division is so tight, and I don't quite trust Binnington. I just
Wins the cup, doesn't trust him.
I have the St. Louis Blues finishing second in the
To
Central.
be fair, I'm with
To be fair, yeah, that's
Declan.
fair, though.
I never trust a goalie after one good year.
He
I
had-
also agree with that.
as I said, he had one good year, and as a Leafs fan, I know something about goaltenders failing you. So I
But
I
Freddie's
just
a top
don't
5
think
player.
they have enough star power.
That's
Because
exactly what I said about Nashville.
think of their name, but I just think in total they don't have a lot of star power.
Really?
Man, Nashville's a lot of back-end star power.
Yeah, so does
that
St. Louis.
St. Louis does not. They have
Really?
Pietrangelo.
Petrangelo is amazing, and so is
Petrangelo's
Parayko.
really good. Parayko's really good, but I
Yeah.
can name 4 guys
on Nashville.
on
No, you
Nashville.
can't.
No, used to be.
Used to be 4 guys. Now I can
Now
name
it's
3.
only Ellis, Ekholm.
And
Ekholm is underrated.
That's
and
fine.
I trust
Josie-
their goaltender more than I trust Jordan Binnington.
I would take-
which it comes down to at the end of the day.
I would take both of St. Louis's top 2 defensemen over anybody on Nashville's defense.
Over Roman Yossi
Over
and
Roman
Ekholm.
Yossi and Ekholm, yeah.
Petrangelo and Parayko.
Yeah, those 2 guys on
That's
St.
fair.
Louis's defense are absolute monsters.
Yeah,
they're
they're-
both amazing, and they drive their pairings. And that's the thing with St. Louis is that both of their top 4 pairings are unreal. And even they, like, Parayko's able to drag Jay Bomeister and make him one of the best, like, left-handed defensemen on a pairing in the NHL. Like, seriously, what the St. Louis Blues have on defense is unreal, and I really like that team.
I don't disagree with you there. They're a very solid team.
Very
and now they
solid.
added Justin Falk on the back end.
The only problem with St. Louis now is that they're going to be in cap hell after this year because they're not going to be able to keep Braden Shen, and they're not going to be able to keep, I don't think, Petrangelo. So
Their
that's
window is now.
that they're
And
gonna-
they
already
already
won-
and
they
they already
did it.
won,
Yeah,
so the
so-
window doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody
like,
cares,
they can do
but-
whatever
yeah.
they want
Yeah,
this
no,
year,
no, yeah,
and
nobody
I can
cares,
just fucking
but-
jerk off in the corner.
Now,
No one
like,
gives a
when
shit.
windows closing though,
But like after they lose those 2 guys, their most expensive forwards are all gonna be like sort of old because
Tarasenko.
they got Alex Steen, Tarasenko's gonna be being paid until he's like 32. They got Perron and Bozak who are both under contract for a little while too.
Yeah, Bozak, what did he
Yeah.
sign 5 years?
3, but Perron signed for
5.
4. No, it's 3.
No, it's 3 times 5.
Exactly. Yeah. but they're okay. They got Ryan O'Reilly too, pretty sick guy.
Ryan O'Reilly is sick.
Ryan O'Reilly, really good. Also drove through Tim Hortons.
But also, why did Pat Maroon go to the Lightning for so little money?
Because he wanted to prove himself.
Because he wants to win another cup.
Yeah.
That's literally everything. He just wants to prove himself. Prove himself.
I just want to prove myself on Tampa Bay, the best team with the most star power in the league.
A team that is lacking in star power, at least for the start of the opening, at least for the opening night, will be Winnipeg,
Dead last in the Central. That's my prediction.
who are currently missing Laine, Connor, and Bufflin with a suspension without pay.
suspensions-
Without pay. I
Yeah.
know it's a suspension without pay.
Suspension and
because
air
But
quotes.
it's
Because he
not
doesn't want
Yeah,
to
I
play.
know.
suspended for bad things.
The reason I
It's
bring
just
that up,
time to
the reason I bring that up though is that because of that suspension without pay, they are currently
cap
under.
relieved.
Yeah, no, they are under the minimum.
Are they?
Yes.
Are they under the
So they
floor?
have to sign Connor or Laine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Kyle Connor wants like a $10 million qualifying offer on his contract right now, which is outrageous.
That means you have to pay him $10 million.
Yeah, but like, yeah, the Jets just don't look good at all. Like,
And they're losing a lot of the reasons for those players to want to stay.
yeah, well, their defense is atrocious. Like, I don't think that gets enough.
It
like,
was
it's-
so good last
and now
year.
it's terrible.
And they lost Trouba Myers and Bufflin.
Bufflin. They,
They
lost
lost-
3 and Trot too.
Yeah.
They lost
Fucking
4 of their
haven't
top
lost Bufflin
6.
yet.
Well,
Yeah.
They lost all 3
wouldn't
right
be-
side guys.
And that was their thing. They were Toronto, but on the right side.
Yeah.
They were.
It's
They
They
so
had
had great
funny.
right D
but
and
no one on the
okay
left, and now they have no one.
Here are the Winnipeg, just for fun. Here are the Winnipeg Jets' 6 defensemen signed for opening night: Dmitry Kulikov, Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk, Nathan Beaulieu, Sammy Niku, and Tucker Poolman.
Yeah,
Dude,
I think
don't
I
know
just
who
had an
3 of those people
aneurysm.
are.
Like, they're not going to be good. Like, I don't know. And Connor Hellebuck isn't a good enough goalie to carry that defense.
And they don't have enough. Like without Laine and Connor on the
No.
front, they don't have enough offensive
Yeah.
power to like make up for their defensive
Exactly.
liability.
Their second
I don't
line-
think they're gonna make the playoffs.
Their second line has Brian Little and Matthew Perreault. Like, it's not good at
no,
all.
with their current lineup right now, there's no way they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
even-
I'm down to be proven wrong.
No, but
Anything
even
I
with
say right now,
Yeah.
I say teams are shit. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they win
Yeah.
the cup.
Oh, predictions!
Sure.
Predictions
Yeah.
are pure horseshit.
Yeah.
but even with Laine and Connor, it's still a
It's
It's
still
still-
a
it's
bull-
still a
it's
test.
tall
Yeah,
glass.
it's still a test to
'cause
be
they-
the
yeah.
last wild card.
They don't have that. They don't have that RFA cushion on defense. They need a defenseman like
and
right
their
now.
prospect pool right now
and
does not look all that cool.
and another issue for them is that a number of Pacific teams are also going to be a little bit not as bad.
As the Jets.
Yeah, no, compared to last year.
Oh,
You mean
yeah.
Central teams?
No, Pacific. We're moving on to them.
Oh,
now.
we're
you
moving
think
on to them now.
Yeah. Do you think that the Pacific's going to improve, which
well,
is
it's
going to leave
hard
the
to be
Jets?
worse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, starting off with Anaheim, they finished 6th in the division, had 80 points. They are the irrelevant team of the Pacific to
Yeah,
me.
poor John Gibson.
Like,
yeah.
He's so good,
He
dude.
is so good.
He's so good. He's
Very
wasting his
underrated.
career in Anaheim.
Yeah, John Gibson is like a sneaky
Playing
good goalie.
Randy Carlisle's
but
stupid
Yeah.
hockey.
Counterpoint, he's making money and living in California.
That is true. That is
So-
very
Yeah, no,
true.
facts,
John
yeah.
Gibson has 8.
Counterpoint: he also has to face 90 shots a night.
That's true.
That is true.
He has 8 years left on his deal in Anaheim.
Counterpoint: 30 other teams in the league don't have to 30 other goalies in the league don't have the same shit he has to deal with.
Again, Craig Anderson, Ottawa.
And it's cold in Ottawa.
So, of the
Okay, you proved me wrong. My bad. I'm sorry.
Anaheim Ducks' 4 highest paid forwards, one of them is injured, and all 4 of them are over the age of 28. Which is not what you want.
Yeah,
Which is
Anaheim
not what you
is-
want for a team that's not expected to do well.
No.
If you're a cup contending team with like really good players,
Yeah.
that's bearable. That's
Yeah.
not good.
But when
though.
you have 80
Yeah.
points last year and
not good.
have to buy out Corey Perry,
Yeah.
And are just going to make up the numbers this year.
Also, Anaheim's defense is like, remember when Anaheim had like a billion good defensemen?
Chris
And
Pronger.
well, even more recently, like when they had like Shea Theodore and Sammy Vatanen
Brandon
and
Montour.
Branton Montour, and now they got like
they were such a defensively sound team.
well, now their number 5 defenseman is Corbinian Holzer.
Oh,
It's like-
ex-Leaf Corbinian Holzer.
And it's looking a little bit weak back there for those Ducks.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
That
they
So
really-
where
line
do
fee is not
where do
gonna
we
work.
see them finishing?
I see them finishing 3rd last in the Pacific, so 6th again. I see them finishing 6th.
Third last. I don't know. I think if John Gibson can pull another one out of the hat, that's exactly where they'll finish. But who knows, man?
I
It'll
think-
be in the last 3 spots in the Pacific.
I think there are
I
two
think
teams
they're
that are
in,
most definitely
like,
worse.
Bottom 5 in the league.
Yeah.
I think they're second last in the division.
I could see them being bottom 5 in the league and 6th in the Pacific in the same time.
Yeah.
And the Pacific is, again, somehow going to be better than last year.
Yeah, I think the 5 teams that are ahead of them have all made market improvements.
Yes. It's just the 2 teams below.
Or
again,
at least or stayed the same.
Yeah.
Like, but there are 2 teams who I think are definitely below them.
So moving on. Declan, do you want to help me with this one?
Yeah, so the team in the desert that added Phil Kessel,
Vegas? Oh, wait, sorry.
Feel the thrill.
Phil the motherfucking Thrill,
I
whose house
stopped at
only
Kessel.
has one seat in it and pictures of himself.
The whole
Love that.
house is just nothing except for a chair and a movie screen.
I love that.
With the most beautiful jerseys in the league, the Arizona Coyotes.
Love the Arizona
Man,
Coyotes.
Biz Nasty would suck you off. Like, he loves the Yotes. You love the Yotes. You guys would
We'd be
just
best
love
friends.
each other.
Best friends.
Arizona with their brand new billionaire owner, Alex Miruello.
Man, apparently he loves hockey.
Yeah, no, they're not
I
moving anytime soon.
Really hope for good in Arizona.
Okay, I just got a lot to like this year.
I just don't like the name. I wish they stayed Phoenix.
Phoenix,
I-
yeah.
Just like,
I
why are
don't-
you a state?
Yeah.
What?
Like I'm a Vikings fan, and I hate when they name their team after a state. Just
Well-
be the city you're in. Although Sunrise would be an awful. Sunrise
Yeah.
Panthers would be bad.
Yeah.
Aside from that,
Sunrise
Look at
Pan-
all
It would
the
be good.
look at all the state teams from last year. Most of them were absolutely terrible. The only exception really was Carolina,
Minnesota, Carolina.
Florida, Arizona.
I mean, hockey's actually not
It's
bad
really
for doing
hard
it.
to go through all of the teams and think of which ones are states.
Minnesota.
If you count the
We've already
Rangers
done them.
as New York State, New
No,
Jersey,
York-
New Jersey
No.
The
Devils.
Rangers are New York
yeah,
City.
yeah, yeah. I
New
know.
Jersey,
New
though.
Jersey Devils, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But New York, we already did that.
But
They're gonna be good this year, but
correlation
whatever.
does not mean causation.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
that,
not.
that does not.
Yeah.
This
You
is
say that,
completely
but-
irrelevant. But if you're named after a state, you're shit.
But
Well-
Phil Kessel's going to be sick this year.
Man,
yeah.
Phil Kessel he had 90 points last year.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
Will he be the difference maker in them making the playoffs?
I think Nick Schmaltz is going to be really important because they had Nick Schmaltz for like 17 games last year, and he was absolutely sick.
Was
with,
he
with
Schmaltz so ass, dude.
No, he was so sick with the Clayton Keller, who's now also
Yeah,
signed long term.
And Galchenyuk was not that good for them.
No, he
last
wasn't.
Year,
And
so-
Schmaltz was way
He also
better.
was hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know he was hurt, but like when you like, I don't see that as a huge loss for the team. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that he's not a good player.
No, they definitely
Yeah.
gained by adding
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
this is
Phil Kessel.
they're only getting better at this offseason.
Yeah.
And Antti Ranta had a sneaky good season last year.
But he was hurt. Well, do you mean Darcy Kemper?
Sorry, I do mean Darcy
Yeah.
Kemper.
But they added Carl Soderberg too, pretty good player. They'll have Christian Dvorak back because he was hurt for most of last year. I think they're gonna be actually really really good this year.
I think they're gonna be third in the division.
I agree actually.
I have been saying the Arizona Coyotes are going to be good for a long time now, and I really do hope that this is the
Yeah,
year.
but dude, when you said they were gonna be
Yeah,
good,
they had like Radim
it's when they
Verbala.
lost their first 10 games of the season. And
That's
and
that's
on
when I
their Reddit-
became a Yotes fan.
Yeah, no, and on their Reddit, every day that they didn't win, they posted a different picture of a coyote.
It also wasn't the first 10. I think it was the first month.
Was
of
that
hockey.
during Antoine Vermette's
First
third
10
stint?
games, which
Oh,
is
sorry.
the
Yeah,
first month. But it's also funny. Over the like a couple weekends, or probably about a month ago, when I was back in Toronto, I saw this sign. It was like, "Beware of coyotes," and I thought it was really funny. I was like, "Was OEL just gonna like jump out of the bushes
Yeah.
and start like smashing me with a hockey stick?"
You know who's gonna be really good next to Clayton Keller? Austin Matthews.
Oh yeah, in 5
Yeah,
years,
in 5 years.
when he got mad at Bob, or was it Brian Burke? Or
It
no,
was
it was
Brian
Bob.
Burke.
Yeah, it was Brian Burke who said that he was gonna leave after his contract, and Matthews was like, "Why are you even talking about this right now?"
It's also half a decade from now, so we're
Yeah,
not
no,
going
I'm-
to freak out.
I'm
I think
like,
we should
cool.
worry about
In the
your
next-
unsigned RFA.
in the next
kidding.
5 years, like I'm hoping we've already won the cup.
I'm kidding.
All right, so that's the fourth time they've been brought up in 43 minutes.
Yeah, you
the
can play a
Leafs.
drinking game with this podcast. Every time the Leafs are brought up out of hand, you have to do a shot.
It's not like our podcast logo is Mike Babcock's face.
I know. I'm just saying. We brought them up again.
Yeah, I brought
Now.
him up.
How many times has Sense been brought up this episode? You don't even count.
Three
But it's been
times,
3 times.
and it's been 3 times, and every single time it's been me saying that they suck. So let's not exactly say that they're equal. Now, the reason we have Mike,
suck and we're sick.
the reason Mike is here primarily for this one team,
Oh no.
the Calgary Flames.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Edmonton Oilers.
They finished first.
Also them.
in their conference.
Yeah.
First in the
champions.
division, first in the conference, and then they lost in the first round to Colorado.
Just as we all predicted.
So, will the additions of Lucic, Talbot, and Toby Ryder be the difference
Well, the difference between what?
between not losing in the first round?
I mean, it really depends on who they play, but I mean, everybody assumed that they would be good against Colorado last year because they had their number in the regular season, and then the playoffs happened, and Nathan McKinnon turned into a really good player.
I think it's more than just that they had Colorado's number. I think it was that Colorado was the second wildcard team.
Yeah.
And you guys won the division.
Yeah, no,
conference.
it's weird. It was a weird season, that's for sure, because a lot of players exceeded expectations.
Goudreau had a hell of a year.
99
so did
points.
Lindholm.
Yeah, Lindholm had 77. But like, I think a lot of people predict regression, and I agree with that. Although I don't think the quality of the play is going to regress. I think it's just going to be their points.
Which does happen. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just some like luck factors also.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to finish second in scoring again, which is what they did last year. But I think Mark Giordano is going to be just as good as he was this year. A lot of people think last year was a career year for Mark Giordano because he had 74 points. It wasn't. He was just as good as he was in previous years.
He just
But
got lucky with.
he had a lot of secondary assists and power play because he didn't play the power play before last year.
Yeah, Riley had a
Yeah.
lot more
Yeah.
primary assists.
Yeah, it was TJ Brody playing the power play before last year, and then they put Giordano on it.
That's
but
where all his points.
That's
are
where all his
racked
points
up.
came from, exactly. But I think I like the Lucic trade now. I didn't like it when it first happened, but I like it now.
I still don't like it.
They save money on it. They get a conditional pick, and they probably get a more effective player.
To all our listeners, Declan just vigorously shook his head.
Man, I think that Milan Lucic is arguably the worst player in the NHL.
I don't
For
see.
what- for what he's paid.
valued.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
don't.
worst
worst.
value.
I don't see any. I don't see
But-
any argument that he's one of the worst players in
No,
the league.
as
No,
a player,
for,
no.
for
But
value.
for value of the money you're paying that guy, he is the worst value.
$5.25 million for 4 more years plus a no movement clause. It's not ideal.
No, it's not.
No,
No,
it's-
I would call it where
Yeah.
I would much rather be in most other situations.
I mean, I do find it a little funny how people are all about the Oilers and how they got rid of the Lucic contract. Because in Calgary, we're all about, oh, good for you, Brad Living, you got rid of the Neil contract. But
because the James Neal contract, I know like his advanced analytics over the past 2 seasons
Are
have
awful.
not been great, but he did have a great run in Vegas.
but
There's
who
no
didn't have
denying-
a good run in Vegas?
I
That's-
know, but Vegas was also good last year. James Neal had a real off year, and yes, he's old, but I think that there's more redeeming qualities about James Neal's play than
Yeah.
there's about Milan Lucic's play,
I like
especially in the offensive zone.
I think
the
James
trade
Neal
makes
can skate
better
better than Milan Lucic.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Although, to me, the biggest problem with James Neal is his shot. He has no shot. He has a terrible, terrible shot, which nobody seems to realize, but his shot is just so awful. He can't get it off in stride. But I think the trade's going to work, like, because Edmonton doesn't have a lot of options for their wings. Calgary has a lot more options than Edmonton does. And so for Edmonton to be able to have a plug-and-play guy like Neal, who they can put higher in the lineup and feel good about, works for them. But for Calgary, it's all about making room for guys to go higher in the lineup because they actually have those guys who they can rationalize putting in those higher spots. And for Calgary, they lost Garnet Hathaway in the offseason, who was actually really effective for them in the second half. And I think they see Lucic as a guy who they can just put in his spot on the fourth line and just run with Derek Ryan and have a good time.
It's just a lot of money to pay a fourth line guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's what Neal was. Are they going to pay Neal 5.7 to be there on their fourth line? Because that's what they were doing last year, right? So.
Which
Yeah.
I agree that but I think they could have done something other than get Lucic.
Yeah.
Trade for something else. Like Lucic is just not the guy you want.
I suppose maybe. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna reserve any more judgment on it until I see him play.
Because when we wanted to get rid of the Patrick Marleau contract,
Yeah,
we had to trade away
a first round pick, and the Calgary Flames weren't gonna do
No,
that.
I know, and I know that I think that that's a lot to pay.
Yeah.
But we did relieve $5.5 million or 5.25. What was it?
6.25.
Sorry, $6.25 million of cap space without adding 5.75,
Yeah,
which would be the same difference
Yeah.
as what
Yeah, well,
5.7.
if you look, I mean, I think what Calgary sees is that they get a different player who they're going to try for maybe a year. If it doesn't work out, maybe
guess, yeah.
maybe they make that trade. Also, I don't think that first round pick option would have been there for them because he has 4 years left on his deal, whereas Marlowe just had 1.
Yeah, no.
And he also has a no move clause. I mean, I think Marlowe does too, but he has the expansion draft to worry about.
If you're
too.
gonna trade 1-for-1 like James Neal and Milan Lucic,
Yeah.
like
It's definitely not the worst 1-for-1 in NHL history, but
You know what I really like about Lucic though? Last year he set a career high in hits.
you know what I really don't
259.
like about Milan Lucic? He had 3 goals last year.
He had 6, but yeah,
no, he's gonna get 3 this year.
He had how many goals since January?
like one.
One.
Yeah. Neil had like 3, but whatever.
But that's
3
3
is
times the amount. That's 300% more goals.
Yeah, I think Neil's goals all came in like the last week of the season because he had like 1 against LA in like the last game and stuff. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Where do you see them finish? Where do you see them finishing in the division?
Top 2.
Okay.
But I
So
don't-
divisional team, but
top of the division.
yeah, top. Yeah, they'll be fighting. They'll be there.
I
They'll be
also
back.
would be first.
Hopefully, Cam Talbot can be, and this was lost in the whole discussion.
Yeah.
Cam Talbot can come back. Matthew Tkachuk is a big one that
Yeah.
we totally glossed over.
Yeah, Kachuk. I think that'll be a big deal if he's not signed, but I think he will be signed. I think he will be.
For the beginning of the season.
I think he will be. I think it'll be a 3-year deal, and I think it'll be less than what Braden Point got. But
It should be.
of course, yeah. But he's a very big part of their first power play unit. They need him.
But he was also looking for 3 times like
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Who knows what he's looking at? I really don't know.
I heard speculations he was looking for like a longer term deal.
Yeah, Elliot-
at like 10 plus.
Elliot Friedman in 31 Thoughts today said he was looking at a 5 or 6 year deal, and so I think that might be where that came from. And I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from for a bridge deal, but yeah.
It's just like the RFAs over this whole year has been a
So
little
weird.
wacky.
So weird.
They're just it's I don't want to go and say like they're entitled, but and I understand that the league is getting a lot younger and the younger players are a lot more important on the teams. But a lot of these players have not earned the stripes to be asking what they're asking.
Yeah, I suppose.
But that's where I disagree with you. I
Man,
think
but they do it for 1 year, and yes, they're projections, and I agree that you should be paying people for what they're projected to get, but also that's like gambling, and I think that why the hell are you gonna try to make more money when you could make a little bit less money and have a way better team around you? Like the players are just stupid. It's not even that they're wrong to want the money, but they're stupid because man, Mitch Marner signs for $2 million less. That's a lot more money you can use on the back end next year.
yeah,
And
but it's
he
a lot
knows
more
that.
money than he doesn't have.
Yeah, I
it's
think-
not money.
Dude, he's making $10.9 million. What do you mean?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, would you rather make 10.9 or would you
Would
rather
you rather
make?
make 10.9 and not win the cup, or would you rather make 8.9 and win the cup?
You can't guarantee a cup with $2
You
million
can't guarantee a
difference.
cup, but you can make it a lot more probable.
Calgary
not
also
really.
lost Mike Smith and UFA.
I was saying, I think this is also an issue about player agent relations and the wider scope of that, and maybe something to do with fathers. But that's a discussion for another
Bob,
day.
I would just like to say that I would prefer to see young players going into their prime who are proven, because Mitch Marner is proven in the league to be elite.
You want
right?
to talk about Nick Bukestad for a while? Let's do it.
That these are the players that should be getting paid instead of 20,
Yeah, but man,
29-year-olds.
He's getting paid more money than he should get paid.
For now
It's a
he
gross
is.
overpayment.
Now he is.
Yes, but that's now, and now is when business is done.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but that's a 6-year deal. He'll be well worth the $10.9 million in 6 years.
In 3 years, we probably could have signed him for the same amount, $11 million for 3 years after that.
Now.
Edmonton. They wow. I mean, I honestly, I'm not sure what the plan is for Edmonton, other than
I don't
just
think Edmonton knows
treading
what the
water.
plan is either.
Yeah. Yeah, Edmonton's kind of a disaster. 7th in the Pacific last year with
Bold
79
prediction, I think
points.
they're going to win the division.
Really?
Nah.
Yeah.
James Neal's gonna come in, score 90 goals.
Yo, James Neal pots 20 this year. They
Good.
could squeak
Yeah.
into a wild card.
I don't see it. I could see it if he manages to displace Alex Chase on the first line, but I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think it will.
They have no wingers.
Yeah, they really
They
don't.
have James Neal.
Yeah.
They have 2 centermen.
Yeah, they have they have McDavid, they have Nugent Hopkins, and they have Draisaitl on the left wing.
They have no
Who
wingers.
Cannot drive his own line, but
Yeah.
They
Trash.
didn't do anything to address their main issues in net and in.
They tried to get Mike Smith, or they
did get
get
Mike
Mike Smith, not tried to.
Once again, they
But,
didn't
like-
do anything to solve their issues in net.
Yeah,
They didn't do anything to solve their issues on the wing.
They're trying their best, man.
they bought out
Their best isn't good enough.
I know, which is exactly what I mean.
Andre Sekera so that they could afford to sign Alex Chason and Marcus Granlund
And they let Jesse Puljujarvi go off to Europe.
overseas. Yeah, I don't. There's just no like.
They're
There's
just bad
no.
at developing, but also Jesse Puljujarvi was apparently not the best guy.
Well,
But
he's also-
apparently he also needed double hip replacement surgery, and the Oilers wanted to play him through it.
So all in all, not great from anyone.
no, they get a lot of hype in Edmonton. Let me tell you, the Edmonton media is very happy with their offseason.
Well, I
yeah.
mean, comparatively, their off season they got rid of Milan Lucic.
They
so
did?
That's what they're basing all their hype
I would
off
also fire up Edmonton if we got rid of Milan Lucic.
I
Oh.
think Edmonton, for their first giveaway of the year, they're giving free tickets to Jonestown because they're drinking the Kool-Aid out
Did
there.
you know that if you Edmonton Oilers games are so cheap that you can go sit right behind the bench and call 2 plays?
Oh, tickets in that arena
For
are actually
$50.
really expensive because they got that brand new arena up
No,
there.
I saw a joke
It's-
with the Miami,
Oh yeah,
the Dolphins. You know how they're awful.
They
so
are
far?
awful, yeah.
It was like
Historically
yeah, you can
awful.
go. Like tickets are so cheap, you can go sit go stand on the field next to the coaches and call 4 plays for $175.
Colin Kaepernick tried to do that, but his website mysteriously crashed.
Really?
Yeah,
That's funny. But also Colin Kaepernick underrated. But now he's old.
True.
And he's
You
never
know,
gonna play
Colin
in the NFL.
Kaepernick might be useful to the Miami Dolphins.
it's probably true.
You know, Antonio Brown could also be useful to a lot of teams.
Oh,
Man,
But
that city's and this isn't an NFL podcast, but you know what? Miami should take a gamble. Who knows?
Colin.
right?
They
Like
could actually score a
Yeah,
touchdown.
I know, but he's going back to school though. Antonio Brown's going back to school.
Yeah, he's gonna go tear up the
yeah, no, now
NCAA.
he's taking like 4 classes right now. He posted that on his
Is he actually?
Yeah.
he posted it on
Wow.
his story on Instagram, and then I saw someone like tweet or something. They were like, "I feel bad for whichever English teacher has to read this guy's essays."
I don't think we're talking enough about the Oilers goaltending either.
No, I
which
think
is
we've talked a lot about.
about Mikko Koskinen.
I mean,
Man, that's such a
here's
bad
the
call.
thing. Do we have to talk
It
about that?
happened last year, and I said it was bad last year. Guess what?
Still
Still
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
One of the worst decisions I've seen.
Man,
Yeah.
that was like us signing Zaitsev, but worse. Because at least Zaitsev kind of looked good.
It's like us signing Zaitsev to a $9 million deal right out of Europe.
Also,
No. He has to play like 3 games, like 3 games before we sign him.
also counting retention that they had on the Lucic deal, James Neal is the Oilers' 3rd highest paid player
That's disgusting.
at $6.5 million.
But also, it's McDavid, Draisaitl, Neal.
hey,
And
that's
Nuge is making less.
yeah. If you count the retention that they got with Lucic,
What's the total?
750 plus 5.75.
They saved 6.5.
Yeah, so basically they pay 6.5, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Flames pay 5.25. Ooh, it's a lot of cap savings.
What next irrelevant?
That's a lot of cap saving.
What next irrelevant Pacific team do we have to do? Do we want to
Oh.
just do these rapid fire?
I really want to, but the next team is LA, and
Oh.
all they've done is
LA.
add Mario Camp and
Oh,
Ben Hudson.
Where do we think the Oilers are finishing in the standings?
Not playoffs.
No
Second
playoffs.
last
7th. Yeah,
LA.
in the league.
Just gone.
I also agree
Last
with Declan.
place in the league.
I agree. No,
They're
I-
going to be worse than the Senators this
No
year.
freaking
I
way.
think
Is this
they're gonna be
LA or Edmonton?
I really stopped myself
LA.
from saying.
Oh, I thought you were saying the
No,
Oilers.
we moved on to LA.
Okay.
No, LA is going to be the worst team in the NHL this year.
Disagree, but okay.
Who was gonna be the worst team?
Ottawa. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I think Ottawa is actually going to be okay. Detroit.
Wait. Over and under 60 points, Ottawa.
Oh, over.
See?
Over under 70 points.
let's not get
push.
crazy.
Push.
Let's not get crazy.
It's a push. I think
Me,
they'll be.
just
I
me,
say they're not cracking.
me and
60.
Ian have a $5 bet on 60 points over under.
60? That's
Yeah.
really low. I think it's going to be really close to 70.
Yeah, they're not they're not.
Man, I've talked to like 3
Terrible.
other people that
They're
are
not
like,
good.
No way they're cracking. 60.
There's like one team that has been that low.
Yeah,
And for like the last 10 years,
they
that's
have
the
to go-
Avalanche.
Colorado.
Yeah.
they have to
They
be
had
that
48.
48. Yeah, 48.
With
Not good.
Nathan McKinnon
Yeah.
on their team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon was on the team.
McKinnon was on
You
that
know
team.
who's not on
Landeskog was on that
Senator?
team. Rantanen was on that team.
You know who was not on the Senators right now?
Any of those guys.
Any of those guys.
Yeah. But they got Brady Kachuk. They
Anyone
got-
close
Shabbat.
to as good as
Hot
those.
Yeah,
Sam,
they don't have
Colin
anyone
White.
that's even close to
Multiple
Nathan
goaltending.
McKinnon.
Okay,
Yeah, but
And?
yeah,
And Edmonton has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They finished second last.
yeah. It's funny. It's just
It doesn't matter
It's
if you have
chemistry.
one player. It doesn't matter if you have one player.
LA Kings don't even have any players. Let's
They
see
have Ben
who
Hudson.
Yeah,
Local
the LA
boy.
Kings don't have players.
That's what I'm saying. The Sens are gonna.
Okay,
suck.
lads. Okay, lads. Okay, lads. Okay, lads.
So who do we like on the LA Kings?
Ben Hudson.
Literally
Only
nobody.
because he's like from
Ilya
my home.
Kovalchuk, just
kind of my hometown.
I also
Not
like
really.
Ilya Kovalchuk.
Man, he was my boy when I was
Yeah.
a kid. Like he was my favorite player.
I went to see the Kings play the Sens last. Oh, that was a tough game.
That's what I was gonna say.
and
And that
the-
sounds like a lot of
yeah,
nothing.
and Kovalchuk was the only good player on the ice who I
He's
enjoyed
actually
watching.
good.
Well, he was okay back then because they still had their old coach. And ever since they fired him and hired Willie Desjardins, he was absolutely atrocious. So I have hopes that maybe he's okay again under Tom McClellan.
hope
I
so.
have money on no.
Hey, you know what?
They're gonna be bad.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be good though. By
As
any
a
means.
team, they're gonna be bad, but I think Kovalchuk could be good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
San Jose, they finished with 101 points, lost the conference finals, the eventual winners, the Blues.
Yeah.
Declan is pausing right now. Yes,
Man,
Declan?
they got 101 points with Merton Jones in net.
They did. Yeah, that goaltending was really suspect, and they still pulled it off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that they'll be able to get to 101 points again? Will Martin Jones be able to do what he did is, not be awful?
No.
I don't believe the Sharks are going to be as good as they were last year.
Will they at least make the playoffs?
Oh yeah. It's hard to imagine they're not.
Well, they
making
also
playoffs.
lost Pavelski.
Yeah,
They
you
lost
just have to
Pavelski.
be. You just have to not be inept
Yeah.
to
No,
make
the
the
Shark-
playoffs in the Pacific.
Exactly. You just
Yeah.
have to be the best of the worst.
I think Ottawa 67 superstar Sasha Chmielewski is a dark horse to make the team out of camp.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very-
no,
very good
I mean,
player.
yeah, that's a possibility. I think it can, but
Do we want to talk about some breaking news right now? The Leafs put out a statement regarding the Austin Matthews incident.
Oh no.
what was
Wait,
Austin
yo,
Matthews?
I want to
Whoa.
hear this.
Oh,
When he
I got it.
Austin Matthews apparently got into a fight the other night or a while ago.
Well,
Okay.
In
I think it
Scottsdale,
was
Arizona.
in August.
Bob
where he got
McKenzie
into
uses
a fight.
AT&T.
Why
So
is it
the
a
statement
screenshot of
from
that?
the Leafs
And he has a
are
VPN
the
on.
Toronto Maple Leafs are aware of the complaint of disturbance of the peace against forward Austin Matthews. Austin is cooperating fully with the relevant authorities, but neither he nor the club will comment any further out of respect for the process involved.
Oh no.
So,
Yo, he definitely knocked someone's teeth out.
Oh no, they're gonna pull a Mike Richards and get him to forfeit his contract.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
good.
think so.
I think it'll be fine.
I think he's just going to do some community service.
No, it's
Anyways,
not even-
back to this.
Non-issue.
I think he's just gonna give someone like $10,000 and then be like, "Fuck off,"
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "Okay."
The Sharks are like they're a very interesting team, and I feel like I've said that about every team. But like,
Well, they're kind of boring.
their defense.
It's not that they're boring. Their defense is pretty offensive.
Is it?
I don't know, Carlson.
I think their defense is pretty
Burns.
bad.
Yeah,
Like
I have-
They're offensive.
Oh yeah, sure, they're offensive.
Okay.
I'm saying in their defensive zone, they
yeah.
I when you say bad, do you mean bad in general or bad for what they're perceived to be?
Both.
You think they're just bad?
I think they're very overrated.
Okay, so you think they're overrated?
No, but that doesn't mean they're bad.
I
It still
think
means
they're-
yeah, overrated
top
does not
half of the
mean
league.
bad.
I think they're mediocre. I think Mark Edward Vlasic might have even a worse contract than Brent Seabrook. Vlasic's contract is absolutely atrocious, and it's paying him $7 million until he's like 40.
But he's
yeah,
a better
but
player.
Also,
No, he's not.
Thomas Hurdle's on a sweetheart deal right now.
Vlasic was one of the worst defensive defensemen in the league last year.
Thomas Hurdle's
He
on
was such a
sweetheart deal,
sinkhole in his own end.
But maybe he can improve this year.
But
He
he's
has a
thir-
lot to prove.
But he's 33.
But he's old and has a lot to prove.
But he's just like Brent Seabrook. And also Brent
he
Burns.
passes the eye test.
Yeah. The thing with Brent Burns, everybody's always discounting Mark Giordano because he's old. But Brent Burns is 34,
Brent
and he's
Burns is
turning
also-
35 this
But he
year.
also still dropped 80 points last year.
Yeah,
He
but
did.
Brett Burns can also not really defend.
But he's old.
Yeah, but he still dropped 80 points last year. You drop 80 points and then tell me that you can't defend.
And Eric Carlson's
Well,
broken.
He's a defenseman.
Eric Carlson's contract is going
I'm a
to
defenseman
just-
if I want to be. If I say I am.
Yeah, that is the
Okay,
Brett Burns
Buffalo.
mentality.
Yo, but Bufflin actually is a defenseman.
Yeah, I know, but like, is it okay?
Okay.
Never
just
mind.
whatever.
And the exact, you know how you were talking about Mitch Marner making $10.9 million? Well, I would much rather have Mitch Marner making $10.9 million now than having Eric Carlson making $11.5 million until he's 38, which is ridiculous and
Man, but
stupid.
as a defenseman, you can play till you're older.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
he's
also he has
already
a robotic
broken.
ankle.
He's already broken. Like he's
yeah, but he's got a robotic ankle, so he'll be good for longer.
like the
dude.
only way is
Cyborg,
if he
dude.
turns into Teemu Solani and like becomes a like like you said, a cyborg and plays until he's like 45.
Straight up. That's what
But-
I'm saying is gonna happen.
I don't know.
Eric Carlson is the prime physical specimen. Have you seen that guy?
I mean,
He's so sexy.
he's got to get rid of that like weird facial hair that
No,
he's
he
got.
doesn't.
No,
I
no,
don't-
be,
he
be a
is
pirate.
perfect.
I
Be a
don't.
pirate.
I don't think
Why
so.
are you like this?
I just don't like.
Why are you the way that you are?
This is why we can't have nice things.
They also got Dalton Prout, which is pretty funny.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Really?
me neither.
Columbus Blue Jackets, Calgary Flames legend Dalton Prout, great guy.
Man.
'Kay.
But I just want to say, Martin Jones is.
Pretty bad.
I think he's the epitome of mediocre goaltending. He's like the Andy Dalton line of the NHL.
Yeah.
Because do you guys know the Andy Dalton line? So for those of you who don't know what the Andy Dalton line is, if you're better than Andy Dalton as a quarterback in the NFL, you are an elite starting quarterback in the NFL. If you are worse than Andy Dalton in the NFL, you suck. Okay.
So is the Martin Jones
So
line
Martin
now for
Jones,
goaltending?
if you are
I
better
actually
than Martin
really like
Jones as
that.
a starter, you are an elite starting goaltender in the NHL.
like that.
If you're worse than Martin Jones, you are not a good starting goaltender, and you should not be a starting
Makes
goaltender
a lot of
in the
sense.
NHL.
Yeah, Martin Jones is like,
He's like so mediocre. Like sometimes
Yeah.
he's like shows like like flashes of his flexibility and his crazy
Yeah.
athleticism, but most of the time positionally, I don't see Martin Jones as that great.
yeah.
He's got that cool. I think he plays sort of similar to Marc-Andre Fleury style, where it's not as floppy around,
yeah.
but like he has a lot more athleticism to his game than just like a structured game like Freddie Anderson or I would say Sergei Bobrovsky.
Carey Price being the best example of a structured goalie.
His backup, Aaron Dell, is even worse. Aaron Dell is the Blaine Gabbert of the NHL.
Well, the Blaine Gabbert of the NHL could also be half the Vancouver Canucks,
I think it could be most
Oh.
of the Vancouver Canucks.
who finished 5th in division with 81 points.
Yeah.
They have a ton of additions: Tyler Myers, JT Miller, Michael Furlan, Oscar Vandenberg, Jordy Ben. But will they be better?
Yes.
Will they be better enough to make the playoffs?
No.
Like I said, you just have to make up the numbers.
The thing with the Canucks is that they got 16 forwards, and all of them are sort of like after Pedersen, they're all kind of like, yeah. Besser's
Besser's
pretty good.
That's
Bo Horvat's pretty good. Their highest paid forward's Louis Eriksson, which is still pretty funny. But yeah, there's
And the second they lost Henrik and Daniel, like,
they
just-
kind of fell off a cliff, didn't they?
I think,
even
well,
like the last
yeah,
2 years of Henrik and Daniel were not
I mean,
good.
yeah, we saw that cliff coming a while away. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much after the Boston Stanley Cup final, we saw that coming.
I just don't get it. Like, do the Canucks think that they need to have 5 forward lines? Because like,
Yes.
why do they have so many forwards? Like they literally they got Jake Virtanen and Tyler
bro.
Mott and like Josh Levo, and those are guys who are going to be in the AHL.
Yeah, you need to have depth
Man,
when you go
Josh
for a deep
Levo's so
playoff run, right?
underrated.
Yeah.
I think it was I'm not sure if it was Ian Tulloch, but someone tweeted about how he's super underrated. And without Elias Pettersson on the ice, Josh Levo had the highest shots for, like expected shots for and expected goals for out of any forward on the Vancouver Canucks.
Sounds like Mike's boy, Sean Tierney.
Sean Tierney. I love Sean Tierney. He's a great guy. Follow him. Twitter. But seriously though, Jay Beagle making $3 million for 3 more seasons, and like Sven Berchi making that much money, and Tim Schaller making that much money, and it's like Brandon Sutter making that much money, and Louis Eriksson making that much money. Like they had Sam Gagner making that much money until last year.
Man, they have so much mediocrity
It's like,
on the front.
why do they have so many forwards?
They
It
don't
just-
have any franchise level. The only
Other than
franchise
Pettersson.
other than Pettersson, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They only have Pettersson as like a franchise, and Besser's an elite.
like they just
Thatcher Demko looks good. And at the back.
Thatcher Demko does look good
Yeah.
as a goaltender.
And
He's,
I like Jacob Markstrom a lot.
I think he might be the next big goaltender in the league. I was playing
Above or
last
below?
year's
Sorry,
franchise
just
mode,
gonna cut you
way
off.
above
Carter
the Martin
Hart?
Jones line.
Carter
Carter Hart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Better
I think
or
they're both
worse?
pretty good. And yeah, they're both
like
they're
in
both,
the
yeah.
by the prime of their career, I think they're probably. I could see it as like a, what's it called, Sergei Bobrovsky type, like dominance in the NHL for a long time.
Yeah.
But you're not on the Carey Price level where it's like you're the best. I don't know if that really makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
The only thing that I don't like mind about the Canucks, because like I think their forwards are just annoying. Like if I was a fan of the Canucks, I'd be like, why do we have so many forwards? And I think their goalies are fine. Like they have lots to like, but their defense actually makes me pretty happy. Like if I was a fan, I'd be pretty happy with that defense because
Yeah, adding
Quinn,
Tyler Myers was
yeah,
big.
because Quinn Hughes is really really good. And he's gonna have.
We don't really know,
yeah,
but like, we'll
but
see.
he looks.
He looks
really,
like an
really good.
absolute steal
He
at the
looks like a
position they got him.
stud.
What
And
did they draft him? 7th?
Something like that. And they added 3
Him and
UFA
Jack.
defensemen.
He's like on the.
Yeah.
People are thinking that he could win caller this
Yeah.
year. Like, shot at a cannon is probably
Yeah.
gonna be Kako.
It's just like, why does Jim Benning sign so many UFAs every single year?
Because Jim Benning is a good GM until July 1st.
I just don't get it. Like last year, he signs Roussel, he signs Beagle, he signs Tim Schaller, he signs all those guys. This year, he signs like 5 UFAs. He signs Furland, he signs Myers, Jordy Ben, Oscar Fantenberg.
I hate the Tyler Myers contract.
It's fine.
It's going to blow up in their face.
I think it's not as bad as the.
He's gonna get old and it's gonna suck.
I think it's yeah.
In
I think it's
2021 or 2022, it's gonna suck.
that it's only 5 years makes it more palatable.
But I
in
also
my
just
opinion.
don't think Tyler Myers is a good defenseman.
He will be good for their team.
Where do we do? So we all agree they will not make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I think they might. I think they might squeeze
Yeah,
into
I
the...
also think that they might be a wild card. Them or Vegas. I think Vegas could not.
I have
make
them
it.
in 5th.
Well, thank you for bringing up Vegas.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
I
but
totally forgot about
Vegas. I have
I
Vegas.
totally forgot about Vegas.
Well, they're the last
Oh, my
team
bad.
we're going to
Sorry.
talk about.
I
Last
really
team.
fucked that up.
No, it's good. You brought up Vegas. I'm happy so we can move on to them. Because they had 93 points last year. They made the playoffs only to lose to San Jose in the first round. They added Garrett Sparks, and then they lost Garrett Sparks along with
No, they
Nikita
didn't
Gutsov.
lose.
They still have him.
released.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he's still on their team. They just
I
they're
wouldn't
not.
call that a loss.
he's with Chicago.
Is
now.
he going to play with them?
No, Malcolm Subban's still their backup.
God bless Malcolm Subban.
Yeah.
Will-
That guy's been around for a while.
Malcolm Subban every time because Vegas plays Calgary 4 times a year, and they dress Subban for 2 of those games. And I think last year Subban let in 15 goals to Calgary,
Holy
Oh,
shit.
something like
That's
that.
too many goals.
Like he's just had a bad
Yeah,
run.
didn't he? Yeah, he was on the ice for like that game that they lost like
Yeah.
8.
I think Mark Jankowski had a 4-goal game against Malcolm Subban once.
Yep.
Just
yep,
like
yep.
whoa.
Do we think Vegas can? Is it downhill from their start now?
I just think Vegas has a lot of money tied up in their forwards, and they're not like Mark Stone's a guy who I think is so underrated that he's overrated.
Explain, please.
Yeah, that
So
makes
Alexander Barkov.
Yeah, almost. Like he's just a guy who has like all these accolades. Like
That bump was Declan killing his knee, by the way. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike.
I just think like Mark Stone's a really good player, and like I think Calgary was in on him at the deadline, and it would have been really big if they'd gotten him.
Mhm.
But like, I don't think he's like I see people who are
Did they
like
pay him what 8.5?
9.5 million. I see people who are like Mark Stone's a top 10 player in the league. He's so good. He's like,
Disagree.
and he's like, no,
He's a good two-way player.
yeah, he's a great player to have, but I think being on the Senators might have inflated his point totals because he was given a huge role, and I think like he's a very effective player, but he's not one of the very, very best in the league, and it's not like the Sens have like a huge offensive superstar here, like yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
I think they're just on the downhill.
yeah.
Like it's not that they're good. I think that
Yeah.
it'll be close, but I think that they might miss the playoffs. If Vancouver can pull their shit together this year,
Yeah.
I think it could kick Vegas out of the playoffs.
Who's their number 1 center?
Vegas?
Yeah.
Carlson.
Is he? I don't think he's a very good number 1 center. Is it Paul?
Oh, who is?
Yeah.
Or who?
Who should be like is it Paul Stasny? Like that I think that's another big weakness with Vegas. They remind me of Nashville in a lot of ways, and because they're sort of iffy defense and they're centers. They're centers.
Whoa! Nashville does not have iffy defense.
I think they have an iffy defense. I think
We've
they're
been over this already. Mike thinks
Yeah.
they have an iffy defense. We don't agree. Where
But
will
yeah.
Vegas finish?
Vegas finishes 4th.
Vegas
Four-
misses the
okay, but
playoffs.
is fourth
Yeah,
fin-
I
making
also
the
think they
playoffs?
miss
No,
the playoffs.
they miss.
Okay.
I
Vegas
think
misses.
Vancouver takes their place.
I think Vegas finishes 4th. Calgary, San Jose, and Arizona.
I
make it.
think Vegas is first team out.
Wow.
So
That
just don't-
was a big agreement. Wow.
I just
That was
don't-
like everyone was like saying shit.
I just don't like their
Whoa.
defense. Like Vegas's defense is really suspect. Like who's their number 1? Nate Schmidt. After that, who is it? Shea Theodore? Like Huh?
all right. Well,
Trash.
now we come to everyone's favorite part of the podcast, where Declan gets to show us all the trivia that he knows.
No, that he looked up.
Do I
Yeah.
do I get to answer these questions?
You do not.
What?
Well,
We're gonna do
no,
we
no.
are going to do a shortened trivia. We're just gonna do
One
the
thing.
we're just gonna do the chess box today. I'm sorry,
So why don't we have paper and
because I just made up my mind that that's what we're gonna do.
So I don't
looking
get to
back at
answer the
score.
questions?
No, you don't,
Why
Aw.
not? Why
because
not?
you're the guest, and the guest doesn't get to play trivia.
What? Why? What? Okay.
these are Declan's rules?
How about this? We do chess and like quickly, but then we can do like
Wait, how do you-
something else so Mike can.
What if I
participate
know
quickly.
the answer? Fine. Go.
Okay, fine. We can do chess, and then we'll do the ranked thing.
And that'll be just like it doesn't count towards trivia. Like whoever wins this wins, but then so Mike can participate. So I don't
Wow.
feel like a dick.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Go.
So the
I'm helping you.
Yeah.
Mike.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah. Go.
so for
Can you turn my mic off for a second?
I can turn your mic off for a second.
Thank you.
For the chess clock, the question is, can you name all the runners-up to the Stanley Cup final since the year 2000?
Oh, I can do this.
Marshall,
Okay.
we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Go.
Ottawa.
Ottawa is correct.
Detroit.
Detroit
This would
is
be better
correct.
if you could do it in order.
Pittsburgh is correct.
No. Vegas.
Vegas
you-
is correct.
Vancouver.
Vancouver is correct.
San Jose.
San Jose is correct.
Calgary.
Calgary is correct.
Boston.
Boston is correct.
No. New Jersey.
New Jersey is correct.
Carolina.
Carolina is correct.
Edmonton.
Edmonton is correct.
Colorado.
Colorado is incorrect.
Dallas.
Dallas is correct.
The Rangers.
Rangers are correct.
I'm running out of teams. Isles.
The Isles are incorrect.
Tampa.
Tampa is correct.
How many more teams are there?
2.
Ooh.
So hard.
Marsh, you got 10 seconds left.
I think I have one
Philly?
in the chamber.
Philly is correct.
Florida.
Florida incorrect.
Minnesota.
Nope.
Nashville.
Nashville is correct. There's one more.
You said there was 2 more.
Sorry, I just saw an extra one. That's my bad. Keep thinking. You got
No seconds. left.
5, 4, 3, 2,
No.
1.
Anaheim.
It was Anaheim.
Oh yeah, in 2003. Yeah, against the Devils when J.S. Shiger won.
That
the
was-
Man, I got so lucky with that Nashville one.
That was a really impressive round right there.
Yeah.
I'm proud of both.
I
of you.
could have done it in
I was
order.
running
so-
out of teams, dude.
Yeah, I completely forgot Anaheim. I only thought they made the 1-7-1.
Yeah, no, 2003.
I was scared about the Carolina. I thought they only won,
Back when
but they
Anaheim.
also lost one.
Yeah, Carolina back when they had Jeff O'Neill, and back when Anaheim
it right.
Anaheim had
I
Steve
was just
Rushin.
guessing teams for like Florida. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, they that was 96.
And for the ranked one, Jeremy Yager played for 9 teams.
Jeez.
Can you name all of them in the correct order?
Yep.
Oh.
Starting with his draft year.
Can I do it? Can I just say it?
No, you have to write them down.
Okay. Well, this is gonna be really easy. Do you want me to also list who he was traded for?
Okay, Mike, you don't need to flex, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is why I didn't want to play trivia with Mike.
Yeah, what the fuck? Being a dick.
Sorry. Okay. And he was traded. Oh, right.
Dude. Oh my god. Like, literally, like, I know the teams, but, like, I have no idea what order.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what order.
Didn't he go back to specific teams?
Okay, I got it.
I just wrote him down on his hockey DB.
Oh,
Okay, can I go first?
No, they're not done.
Oh, whatever.
Like, I'm just putting 4 teams, and it's the first 2 and the last 2.
Do you not know all the teams he went to?
Man, I don't remember.
Okay. Are you guys
No.
Like, I wouldn't put them in the right order anyways. Doesn't matter.
are you guys done? I
gonna
saw
take me a
Mike.
long
I
time.
believe
I'm done.
Mike has them all correct, so.
Okay, just let Mike go. See
Go,
what's
Mike.
up.
Okay, so Jaromir Jagr made his NHL debut in 1990 with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes,
Yeah.
I also have that.
And he played there until 2001 when he was traded to the Washington Capitals
Indeed,
in a
correct.
deal that included Chris Beach. And then he was
Okay, that's not important. Just say
yeah.
the teams.
then, then at the 2004 trade deadline, he was traded to the New York Rangers.
Was
in a-
traded to the Rangers.
in a
Oh,
deal
Rangers is 2.
for Anson Carter.
I missed Caps.
And then he played there until 2008. And then he went to the KHL and he played for. Oh, I didn't even think of this.
I don't have his KHL
Oh,
teams.
yeah, I think he played for
Because
Avangard.
I can name one KHL team.
I think
Okay,
he
so back to the NHL.
Yeah, I think
when
he played.
Came back.
I think he played for Avangard Omsk in the KHL, but then
Okay, Mike,
he
calm
came
the
back
fuck
in
down, buddy.
2011. Came back in 2011 with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Did play for the Flyers.
with
I didn't know
whom-
that.
For whom he played a year.
the Flyers.
He played a year for the Flyers, including in a Winter Classic. And then the next year he signed in Dallas.
That's
He did
so
sign
important.
in Dallas.
He signed in
Fucking
Dallas
Winter Classic.
and played for Coach Glenn Gulletson for half a season, half a lockout season too.
Mike, you're never coming back on the pod.
Before he was traded to Boston, where he went to the Stanley Cup Final, and then he signed with
What was the question?
Jaromir.
What teams did he play for?
Then he signed.
Okay,
for-
I just wanted to point out that was the question.
Then he signed a 2-year deal with the New Jersey Devils. Played a year and a half there. He was traded to Florida. Played a couple of years in Florida, signed with Calgary for 22 games, then went back to Kladno in the Czech Republic.
Oh my God, he finished with Calgary. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Declan. He
Why?
thought he had a really good trivia question that would stump us.
And it did.
Well, yeah, but
I thought I came up with 2 pretty good questions.
Yes, you did.
I just got a mind for
The
it.
first one is good.
A mine for Yama Yager or a mine for
The
no
second one was
everyone played
also
everywhere?
good.
Give me another player and I'll do it. Any other player?
No, we have to end this podcast.
Mark Messier.
Mark Messier started with the Rangers, then he went to the Canucks in 1997. Famously,
Okay,
took
I don't
them-
want to know years, man.
Alright.
Just give me the
Fine.
teams.
Then he went
to
back.
the Canucks.
A quick
No,
round.
sorry, no, he started with the Oilers. What
I
am I
was gonna
saying?
say,
Yeah,
we're
started with the
way
Oilers. Then
off
went, then he
here.
went to the Rangers in 1990. Then he went to the Canucks in 97. Went back to the Rangers in 2000. Retired in 2004.
Okay. With that,
Boom.
It's been Ian Blumenthal.
Marshall Healy,
This is Mike Gould.
Declan DeBarp.
and we are thankfully ending this podcast. We'll be back next week with the season opener. Till then, bye.
Follow your hosts on Twitter at DeBarp14, at Ian_Blumenthal, and at Marshall Healy. Don't forget to follow the podcast at Real Good Procast.